So, Facebook has officially changed their name to Meta Platforms and is going all in on the future of virtual and augmented reality with what they refer to as the metaverse. And this is, in my opinion, a gigantic move that can bring in potentially huge growth in the future over the long term, but at the cost of very heavy investing today. And for me, it's got me very interested and pretty excited about this stock. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about in today's video. I want to try to answer the question of whether right now is a good time to start buying this stock, or if all of this is just kind of hype and a better decision would be to just hold off on this one and maybe wait for some more clarity in the future before buying into a stock like this. Let's get started. What's up, everyone? My name is Ale. Welcome back to my world of stocks. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by taking a look at what Facebook is doing here. And by the way, I'm just going to refer to them as Meta from now on because that is the name of their company now. So I'm going to refer to them as that. And let's take a look at what all of these changes mean for the company right now, what it means for the future, and whether I'll be buying this stock myself anytime soon. Keep in mind, I do not currently own any Facebook or Meta stock. All right, so what's going on here? Well, basically, a few weeks ago, Facebook changed its name to Meta Platforms, which of course encompasses all the different platforms that they own, like Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, and Oculus. And they also announced that they will be creating a new digital kind of mixed reality world called the Metaverse, which longtime CEO Mark Zuckerberg is referring to as the next chapter of the internet. And this is basically going to use a mixture of both physical reality and virtual or augmented reality that will allow users to connect together on social media, work and collaborate together, play games together, shop together, travel, explore, basically most of the things that you already do in the real world, but now you'll be able to do them even if you're really far away from each other, in many cases using a digital avatar and a more kind of digitalized version of the world. And in my honest opinion, I think it's only a matter of time until the metaverse evolves into something much larger and much more digital over time. Again, right now they're talking about this being kind of a mixture of physical world and digital world, but again, in my opinion, I think this is going to just really go down the trajectory of becoming much more digital over time. And I think it's only a matter of time until this thing becomes something like, those type of digital worlds that we've often dreamed about or that we've even watched in big Hollywood movies, like, for example, The Matrix or Ready Player One or Fall Guy, things like that. You get the idea. Now, before we go any further, we should take note of a few different things. First of all, I'm not a big fan of humans going into a much more digital type of world than we've already created. I think it's going to be a sad day for humanity when we'd rather be plugged into machines and be experiencing a virtual type of world rather than having those personal interactions, spending quality time with their friends and family in person, having conversations, hugging, having physical contact, being out in nature together, experiencing fresh air, fresh sunlight, the ocean, all those kinds of things. I think that's the way that we're meant to live our lives as humans. However, in an effort to be unbiased and be willing to understand both sides of the coin here, I can't deny the fact that there is a huge opportunity here with something like a metaverse or some kind of virtual world that I think would not only be insanely fun, but I think would also open the door to a number of different opportunities that we as humans may not otherwise have. For example, I really think that something like the metaverse will eventually, over a long period of time, evolve into something where you can just call up your friends and family and say, hey, meet me in the metaverse, jump into the metaverse. Let's take a rocket ship out to Mars. Let's go explore the geography of Venus. Let's fly to the moon. Let's go do a race with supercars. Let's take a plane to Africa, or let's just fly as superheroes and be there almost instantly. Let's go swimming into the deep ocean depths. There's so many things that you would be able to do virtually that in our physical real world, we are either humanly physically incapable of doing, like being superheroes and flying, or we don't have the financial means to be able to do those things. Like, for example, we're not all Jeff Bezos and can just hop onto a rocket ship and fly out into space, but virtually, well, that may be much more accessible. And so I think that virtual worlds will eventually lead to many different opportunities. And this is going to be in the fields of entertainment. I think it's going to be huge in education. I could see many schools implementing these type of things, taking field trips virtually, doing all kinds of stuff, maybe even learning virtually, which can be more convenient. Business, I mean, talking about convenience, sometimes you have to fly all the way around the world to meet with partners, on the other side of the world. You with a virtual world, you can do this virtually. You can have an avatar. Obviously, we're already doing much of that already, but this will just kind of evolve into something even bigger than that. But of course, it could also be implemented into like e-commerce. I could see a lot of people doing virtual shopping. There is a number of different applications where I think all of this can be used. And then if you're a company like Facebook or Meta that is controlling or facilitating a lot of this, well, that's just going to mean huge revenue streams for them. And that's not just in the sense of like maybe fees for users or even businesses that want to be on the platform, but also just from advertising. They could make all the money that they will ever need just from advertising. If you're in a virtual world and you're walking down the street, you could see advertisements painted on walls, on buildings. You could see them practically anywhere. And that is a gigantic landscape, a gigantic canvas for nothing but advertisements all over the place. And that's just going to mean nothing but cash for a company like Meta who can facilitate some of this. Now, obviously, there's going to be competition. There's a number of things that we also have to talk about. And of course, we are nowhere near that type of future yet, but I do think that it is inevitably coming. And what Meta is trying to do here is they're trying to take the first steps now so that they can gain that first mover's advantage, which I do think will be crucial to whoever ends up getting, the most market share and whether they can keep it or not. So let's talk about how seriously Meta is taking this, how they're investing in it, what they're doing, what it means for them. Let's talk about how Wall Street is reacting to it. And I'll give my own reaction to that as well. And we'll talk about whether I think Facebook has all the pieces or tools necessary in terms of technology and everything else to be a market leader in that future. Well, for starters, Meta is already investing over $10 billion just this year alone to build out this new digital world. That is so much money, by the way, but to build out this world and all of that infrastructure, or at least much of that. Now, obviously, that's going to really hurt their profitability in the short term, and that's why there's been some mixed reaction from Wall Street, and the stock hasn't actually moved much at all. I mean, it's been a little volatile, but if you look back at the past, let's say 3 months, the stock is actually down over 10% from their recent highs. That was just kind of a couple months ago. So it's not like it's a stock that like skyrocketed off of the news. Now, for example, you had investment bank Raymond Jones lowering their price target, while CFRA Research said that it will take years for Meta's strategic shift to come to fruition, while also costing the company a lot of money. And that's probably true. Bank of America is estimating that Meta will have to spend as much as $50 billion just to build up the platform and all of the technologies that are required before they can even think about breaking even, let alone actually turn a profit. Now, they also note that the new move poses a risk of capital destruction, as well as a loss of focus from their core businesses like Instagram and Facebook at a time when competition may be heating up from rivals. So pretty bearish sentiments here from some of these analysts. What about myself, though? What is my reaction to some of that bearishness? Well, as you might expect, I of course disagree with a lot of the things that those analysts had to say. Not with the part that, obviously they tell some truths there. Obviously, this is going to cost Meta a ton of money. It is going to hurt their profitability in the short term. My point is, though, who cares? You have to be a first mover here. This is a brand new industry that we're talking about here. This is going to be new technology, new revenue streams. You got to be a first mover here. You have to go all in on it. And this is similar to how a lot of analysts for a long time were very bearish on other companies like, for example, Tesla, Netflix, Amazon, companies that were first movers in their little sectors too. And you had much of their markets, much of their competitors just being very complacent, not willing to adapt to changing consumer trends. Meanwhile, you had companies like Netflix going all in on video streaming. You had Tesla going all in on autonomous and electric driving. You had Amazon going all in on online shopping and cloud computing. And what ended up happening is that these companies ended up dominating their respective markets. Now, that's not to say that they don't have issues themselves and that they haven't struggled greatly with things like profitability and stuff like that. But my point is, again, who cares? You need to go all in on this. And even in this situation, I would say that Meta is in an even better position than many of those other companies, in that Meta has all the ingredients already to make this absolutely happen and still be, a profitable company and still be completely fine and be able to fend off competition. When I think about what company can dominate the digital future of something like a metaverse, there is no other company that I think is in a better position, in my opinion, than Meta, because of three very important ingredients that I feel they already have. That is capital, their user base, and technology. When looking at capital, you're talking about a company here that already brings in over $100 billion in sales a year, with still close to 40% growth next year, and even another 20% growth the year after as well expected. And then with profits, you're talking over $40 billion of those sales going straight to the bottom line. So while these analysts are worried about profits, Facebook is bringing in tens of billions of dollars every single year of net income, so they can easily cover any of these expenses to make sure that they remain relevant in technology and the future of the internet and keep that growth coming longer term with these investments. And even in the worst case scenario, I mean, they've still got one of the best, absolute best balance sheets in the entire world. You're talking current and total ratios of not just above 1 but close to 5. I mean, that's $75 billion in current assets versus just 18 billion in current liabilities. So whatever issues may arise, when you combine the yearly profits with that gigantic balance sheet, Meta can easily just pay their way out of, virtually any of these issues. And as far as users and tools and technology and infrastructure goes, well, let's just look at the facts. Across all of their platforms, Meta has currently almost 3 billion users just in Facebook alone. And when you combine all of their different platforms, that number climbs to over 3.5 billion. That's about half of the entire world's population. That is so crazy. I mean, I can't really think of many other, services or platforms out there that get anywhere close to that amount of users. So it's really amazing. In terms of having that giant pool of users to tap into and to convince to adapt a brand new radical kind of social platform like the metaverse, I just can't think of any other company better suited than Meta. That user base is going to come in handy, so much for them. And then you look at technology, Meta is one of the few companies out there that has gone super heavy into virtual and augmented reality early on with Oculus. And because of that, they've already become one of the most dominant forces in the market. They control over half of the entire market, according to Counterpoint Research, because of Oculus. On top of that, the metaverse will likely involve heavy use of digital currency and transactions, which, by the way, Meta showed off during their presentation, showing girls buying digital clothing for their avatars. And so cryptocurrencies and things like NFTs and so on, those will likely be heavily used on the platform. And guess what? It just so happens that Facebook not only has their own cryptocurrency that they're working on called Diem, but they even have a new crypto wallet called Novi, and that's going to be used to facilitate. It could really be used to facilitate all of that. So you just add all of this up, and I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want to own a stock like this. Again, Meta is going to go through some struggles here in the short term. There's going to be profitability issues. It's going to cost them a lot of money, and you may not see great results from all of that investment early on. And I think that could cause for a volatile stock that may even dip and go down and struggle for a while. But over the long term, man, Meta has an opportunity here to be one of the first early movers in a brand new market similar to Amazon, Tesla, Netflix. This could be a situation here where you're buying a stock very early on, and then you look down the road 5 to 10 years or maybe even longer, but definitely, over the long term, and you look back on it and you just think, man, I should have gone so much more heavier on a stock like this. We'll have to see. It's like I said, it's not the safest bet out there. It is a little bit of a gamble. Profitability is going to hurt. I think the stock will be volatile, and it'll definitely go through dips, and there could be market wide corrections, and this stock will absolutely get hit with those as well. But I just see everything that they already have. I mean, even before the metaverse, this was a stock that was still worth owning just for what they have as is. And now you've got this massive opportunity for Meta to really usher in the next generation of the internet. I mean, it's a huge opportunity here. I'm willing to take that bet. It's a gamble, it's a bet. I'm willing to take that bet. So I'm going to be buying Meta stock. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be buying Meta stock. And I will probably turn this into a pretty large position, to be honest. I mean, we'll have to reevaluate as time goes on. Of course, I will make more videos for you guys and keep you updated. But as of right now, I foresee this very possibly becoming a large position in my portfolio. Having said that, I will be buying fairly slowly here because I do think it's going to be a volatile stock. But I'm going to start buying even at today's prices. I'm ready to buy the stock, and then I will buy even heavier if it goes through any dips, or if the stock falls, I will buy much heavier during those situations. But over time, I will be buying the stock over time, assuming that everything kind of goes to plan and I still have my bullish outlook on it. So I'll keep you guys posted. Make sure you're subscribed for all those future videos that will be coming. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my thesis here, or do you completely disagree? In fact, if you really disagree, I'd love to hear your reasons why, because if I'm going to be owning the stock, I would like to know the things that I should be concerned about myself too. So please let me know. I will take your comments very seriously. I will read them and I'll try to respond to them. And I will more than likely bring up any concerns that you guys have. I'll bring them up in future videos too. So make sure you leave those comments down there, because I always appreciate them and I can always use them for future videos. But anyway, thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're all doing well. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.